Are people afraid of you, Beth?
It's 1985, and we are in America. A child is born, but it isn't a normal girl. In recent years, she has gone through some serious child abuse that will lead her to a constant problematic behavior, and she will end up being called the child of rage.
Are people afraid of you, Beth?
In the 1990s, HBO released a documentary named Child of Rage. In this video, you can see a brown-haired, blue-eyed girl who is roughly 7 years of age. Everything seems good until the questioner starts asking her, and no one believes that all this is coming from a 6.5-year-old mind. It was full of evilness, the expressions, statements, and aura. Everything emitted evilness. Actually, this documentary was filmed by a child specialist clinical psychologist, Dr. Ken Mijad, when he started therapy sessions with Beth. This might look like an absurd way to showcase the misery of a kid, but the real thought behind this was to let people know how essential earlier child development is and how badly it could affect the mentality of a kid that got abused during early development years. In these initial moments, you could hear the doctor asking Beth, "Is someone actually afraid of you?" To whom she responds, "Yes, my little brother John, who is just 4 years old, is afraid of me."
Are people afraid of you, Beth? Who's afraid of you, Beth?
John.
Your brother. And why is your brother afraid of you?
Because I hurt him so much.
Okay.
The reason behind it is when Beth was born, her mother died when she was only 2 years old. Until the 19th month, her dad tortured her physically, emotionally, and sexually. That changed her into an evil and traumatic life, which led to reactivation attachment disorder. So she would let that rage come out over her brother. She would torture him and even use needles to make him endure pain. The doctor further asks her, "Why is John afraid of you, and why do your parents keep your door locked at night? Are they afraid that you might hurt them or John?" To which she responded that, "Yes, I acknowledge it, and I know that they are afraid of me."
At nighttime, what do your parents do to your door?
Lock it shut.
Why do they lock it shut?
Because they don't want me to hurt John.
Right. And they're kind of afraid of hurting John? Of you hurting John? Okay. Are they afraid that you might hurt them?
Yep.
Would you, Beth? When would you do it?
Right now.
Actually, after the death of her mother, her dad would torture the kids and wouldn't care about their health. He even restricted them from having enough food. After seeing how badly their father behaved, a Tennant couple, Tim Tennant and Julie Tennant, adopted Beth and John. One day, Julie noticed that some of her kitchen knives were missing, so she went to Beth and asked her. To which she responded that I've picked them up so I could kill John, my dad Tim, and you. You can imagine how badly that trauma affected her, that she couldn't even believe in nice people like Tim and Julie. So they would lock her in the room during nighttime so she wouldn't hurt them. Then Dr. Kenneth asked her why you would do it at nighttime, to which she said, "Because I don't want them to see me doing anything like that. But I'm sure if I've gotten the chance, I would love to stab my brother."
Why would you do nighttime?
Because I don't like them seeing me do it. But they can feel me do it.
And what would you do to him, Beth?
Stab them.
Okay. What would you stab him with?
A knife.
As told earlier, Beth also used to stick needles inside her brother. When the doctors asked her about this, she said that I stuck needles in my brother's skin, and when confronted about the intensity of it,
Do you ever stick pins in people? Who?
My brother.
Okay. Do you do it a little bit or a lot?
she told me that I stuck it deep inside to ensure maximum damage. Just imagine the audacity of these statements, and they're coming from a 6-year-old girl.
A lot.
Okay. And what are you trying to do to your brother?
Kill him.
Why do you want your brother to die?
She explained what's the real reason behind it, that she hates having people around her. It's not about John or her foster parents. She actually hates people around her, and she wants them all to die so she could be alone or safe from her perspective. It explains how badly early life trauma affected her, that she hates having anyone around her.
Because I was hurt so bad, and I don't want to be around people.
Sticking needles was limited to John only, but when she was asked about her wish, she said that she wants to do the same stuff with Mommy and Daddy as she wants to see them die. In conclusion, she wanted to be alone, as the presence of any life around her scares her, so she now fights against it.
Okay. Who else would you like to stick pins into?
Mommy and Daddy.
What would you like to have happen to them?
Die.
The person you just saw is Tim, who got married to Julie in 1975, and it's been 12 years, and they didn't have any children. As he said, they were craving to extend their family and include more people in their lives.
We did not need children to make our lives complete. We felt secure in ourselves and secure in our relationship, but we wanted to share that with somebody else. And we felt like we had a lot to pass on to a child, and that was what we really wanted to do.
So they finally contacted an NGO if they could give the couple some needy children. In the meantime, Beth and John caught their eye, so they contacted the couple, and their eyes glittered as they were going to have 2 healthy children, but the results were completely different.
And when the phone call came, it was like, at last it's here.
This woman is Tim's wife, Julie, the woman who accepted to adopt Beth and John. As you heard how excited she was to have those kids, but she was unaware of the events that were about to happen in the near future.
It seemed like a miracle. It had happened so quick. We had heard of couples having to wait 5-10 years on a child, and here we had 2 young children. It was like the answer to our dream.
Now Tim explains how they observed odd behavior in those kids and started to dig in their background. They never had enough food and were used to living around litter, wipes, and used Pampers. John's head was too bad that it took months to recover into its normal shape.
That they didn't have enough food to eat. That perhaps even Beth went all day maybe with just a box of Kick cereal. John himself was found in a bassinet with little patches of urine all over it and a dirty diaper and a couple of bottles at his feet that had curdled milk, and the back of his head was completely flat. The front of his head had bulged out, and at 7 months he couldn't raise his head, couldn't roll over. He was just had no stimulation, and we think perhaps that had happened to Beth, and it wasn't very long until...
Then her foster father tells how she revealed experiences of her dad sexually abusing her. She would call it a nightmare, saying that I'd have a nightmare where a man is over me, and I'm in my room upstairs. He'd hurt me with his body part, and the man is her dad.
That she had, and the nightmare was about a man who was falling on her and hurting her with a part of himself.
Tell me about your birth father. What was that nightmare like?
When he touched my vagina.
Now you saw the traumatizing remarks of Beth when she was asked about it. It's too disturbing to even imagine the condition of that guy who dared to do all this stuff with a 2-year-old girl who's even his own daughter. And the way she explains it is actually traumatic.
Until it bled, hurt it a lot until it bled, and wouldn't feed me a lot. He'd hit on me, wouldn't be very nice to me.
How old were you?
1.
And in your nightmare, what happens?
I get real scared.
Where are you in the nightmare? What happens in the dream?
I'm in the house.
Then she shows this drawing that she made to portray the situation in which her dad would abuse her. And you can see those tears that she made on her face. Just imagine what this girl was going through.
How do you feel when you talk about this?
Scared.
Where's your birth father? What's he doing?
He's right there, and there's his hand. His hand's right there.
Where?
Right there. You can't hardly see it because it's green.
What's it touching?
My vaginas.
And what is your birth father doing?
Hurting it.
Your face looks sad. Can you tell me about that?
It's crying because there's dots of the tears.
Now she explains how she tortured her brother's private parts by pinching and kicking them, knowing that it hurts him a lot, and he begs her to stop, but she would never stop.
All right, what do you do?
Well, I pinch it, squeeze it, kick it.
When you do things to your brother's private parts, what does he say?
Stop.
Okay, tell me that.
Well, he says stop, but I don't stop.
Do you hurt him?
A lot.
Okay. And would you like to do that to other boys?
Her mom tells that she'd start rubbing herself anytime, anywhere. Once they were in the hospital to pick up Tim, her condition was so bad that she rolled her pants down and started to masturbate in the back seat.
And I said, didn't he say to stop? And she said, yeah, he did. And I said, did you? And she said, no.
Have you ever rubbed your private parts? Do you do it a lot?
A lot.
How much do you do that?
Not every single day, and that's until I did it every single day until it got real bad and messed up, and I had to go to the doctor, and I did not like it.
Julie would tell her that it's inappropriate to do so, and even if you're doing it, you have to respect public places, as you can't do this kind of stuff in public. But she was never interested in hearing any of this.
She had her legs spread and was masturbating in a public parking lot. And I had tried to explain to her numerous times before that that's private area. You don't do it in public places. And gone over that with her, and it never seemed to faze her.
Tim was fond of animals, so he has 5 to 6 animals in his home, including dogs and cats. Even they were not spared by Beth's rage. She would torture them in every possible way. She would beat them and even stick objects like pens up their butt so they could die. She loved to see any creature scream.
Do you have animals, Beth?
4 of them.
Can you tell me their names?
Clyde, Shuggy, Darcy, and Annie. And Daddy said a day ago that there was a stray cat who did not have a home.
Now the doctor asked her about an incident from her childhood when she found some baby birds in a nest. Her parents thought that she is just curious about them, so they advised her to not hurt them, as they're living creatures, but the next day they found them laying on the ground with broken necks.
Let's talk about what happened once when you were smaller, when you found some baby birds in a tree. What did you do then?
I took them out.
And what did Mom say to you?
That the mother will not come back if somebody touches her baby.
Are the baby birds kind of small? Can you describe them for me?
Well, they don't have their eyes open, but they can hear me, and they look up.
Are they kind of helpless? Little baby birds? Can they fly?
No.
Can they run away?
When Beth got asked about the incident, she said that she was trying to love them, but I don't know if they died, but as discussed earlier, they were not just dead. They were killed brutally by breaking their necks and bones.
And so did the little baby birds die?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I just remember that I remember that Mommy and Daddy said the last bird we got was dead.
Do you know what Mom said to me? She said that all of them were dead. Did you squeeze them?
During early ages, John would cry and point towards his stomach as it hurt. So his parents thought that it might be some stomach problems, but the doctor found nothing like that. So one day Tim preferred to keep a look at him during nighttime and found that Beth came out of her home and punched him continuously in his stomach and was doing so for 3 to 4 months.
But this kind of aggression at our animals and even at our brother Jonathan was beginning to grow to such an excess that our life was miserable at home. John would cry in the mornings and say his stomach hurt. For the longest time, we thought maybe this child has some problem with his intestinal area, or maybe he has allergies, and so we tried to get all that checked out. Come to find out, Beth was coming out of her room and hitting him in the stomach.
Now Julie told about the time when Beth picked up those knives, and instead of being ashamed, she mentioned it in front of her mom, saying that "I'd love to kill you all with these." Next, she explains herself, how she picked them up, and what were her future plans.
I noticed several, like paring knives in the kitchen, missing. And my first thought was Beth. And I felt a little guilty about it at first. I thought, no. But I really didn't even mention it to her. They had been gone several weeks. She was sitting at the table drawing and mentioned to me, "What do those knives look like that are gone, Mom?" And I said, "What knives, Beth?" And she said, "Weren't they kind of silver and about this big?" And I knew then, and then this little smile that's not a sweet smile, but a malicious type of smile. And I knew then, I thought, she's got them.
If we talk about the person who suffered the most from Beth's rage, it was her brother. She would hurt him whenever she got a chance and tried to kill him several times. Let's see what Julie has to say about it.
What kind of knives?
Big sharp ones.
And what do you want to do with those knives?
Kill John and Mommy with them, and Daddy.
John was an infant, a small kid that can't scream for help, can't defend himself, or hit Beth back. So he was a great catch from Beth's perspective. She would torture him, and all he could do is beg in front of her to stop, while she gets amused by bullying him.
By this time, she had tried to kill John on several occasions and openly admitted that.
In the basement, she was hitting his head against a cement floor. I heard his screams and ran down and had to literally pull her hands off, and she looked wild-eyed.
Beth tells about the time when she kept hitting her brother's head on the concrete floor. She hit him so hard that his head hurt and chin started to bleed, and he would cry for help, but Beth's reaction was the same. "I don't care."
What was the floor like?
Cement.
And what happened to your brother? Tell me about it.
His head hurt real bad, but his chin, he had to have stitches in it.
Could you stop?
Doesn't this part feel unfamiliar? Beth crying? Can you imagine a person crying who would love to torture others? This doesn't feel like something Beth would do, but this is the main reason behind her rage. The fear that she carries within, how that childhood trauma makes her feel insecure and unsafe. In 1989, Beth was given to an organization that would help these kinds of kids to make them a better person.
Although she had made progress, she would still need extensive therapy. Not all abused children are as deeply scarred as Beth, but all abused children suffer a profound hurt for the rest of their lives. The road to recovery is long and hard for the abused child. There are more than 1 million new victims of child abuse in America every year.
This all worked, and nowadays Beth is 38 years old and doing a job as a normal paramedic nurse. Aside, she is an author too, who loves to write about stuff that would benefit humanity. So she's also a strong advocate of protection against reactive attachment disorder. The basic reason behind this video was to let people know how important early age development is and what its impact on future life is. It also enlightens the usefulness of therapy, how a good doctor can change lives. That's it for today. Hope you liked it. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Do hit the bell icon to get the latest updates as soon as possible. Till then, bye.